welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. Today, doing two videos, first of which was a post-match review of the Celtic women's heartbreaking 3-2 loss to Rangers in the League Cup semi on Friday, and this one is a post-match review of Celtic's 5-0 win yesterday against Buckie Thistle in the Scottish Cup in the middle of a horrendous wind and rainstorm at Celtic Park. So, obviously, 5-0 win, nice comfortable win, 4 goals chalked off for offside, which is a rather rare occurrence. A couple of the offsides did look a wee bit odd on the VAR, as if the lines were in the wrong places. However, it didn't matter in the greater scheme of things. Interesting that Callum McGregor was given a rest with Owen Holm instead starting in midfield. Otherwise, pretty much Celtic's strongest starting 11 in the view of Brendan Rodgers. Cameron Carter-Vickers out yet again injured. Nicholas Kuhn deemed by Rodgers not fit to play on the basis of having had recent dental work. I think that's the first time I've ever heard anybody being unfit to play and still a bit wobbly and off his legs because of dental work. It was interesting in Kuhn's halftime interview on Viaplay. He also had stated that it had been about 4 to 5 weeks since he'd been in any form of match practice with Rapid Vienna because their league had gone into a midwinter shutdown, and so I think the fact that Kuhn hadn't played any competitive football for 4 or 5 weeks was a much more likely explanation, and it's yet another example of Brendan Rodgers' rather contradictory, misleading, disinformation type statements and answers to questions. And anything he really says regarding player fitness, player form, etc., I think can always be taken with a pinch of salt. However, otherwise Celtic were at full strength, apart from McGregor, with Joe Hart taking over the captaincy duties. I thought several Celtic players had very good games. Bernardo, for me, was very impressive throughout the game. Got involved in midfield, got involved going forward, got himself into the box, very creative. Thought he and Matt O'Reilly were probably my two men of the match. O'Reilly was his typical self, a couple of beautiful passes to set up the goals early on, and he was available as a linking player, helping out midfield, supporting defence, getting forward. And I thought it was a very impressive performance by both Bernardo and Matt O'Reilly. And completing the midfield three, I thought Holm did a super duper job. He's not really had too much of a chance under Brendan Rodgers to establish himself. He's had the odd start and the odd sub appearance. According to Brendan Rodgers, he's had a lot of injury problems, although that's never really been declared in any contemporaneous press conferences when Rodgers has been updating on players being fit or not fit. However, I thought Holm did well. He did a lot of the unseen work, a lot of the tidying up, a lot of the recycling of the ball, keeping attacks going, a lot of the linking play, and he had a lovely, amazing run and good finish to score the second goal. Kyogo, I thought, looked rather was busy, got himself involved with a lot of attacks, played on the shoulder of the last defender, and managed to get his goal, having had an earlier one disallowed. And I was actually quite relieved when he got taken off and replaced by Vata for the last half hour or so. Palma, I thought, was active, creative, inventive the whole way through. Some lovely crosses, some lovely balls, cut in a couple of times, curling shots that nearly missed, and thought his goal early in the second half, in the 50th minute, was probably the best goal of the day. Lovely cutting in off the right wing, and then a brilliant left foot finish into the bottom corner. Good to see Rocco Vata and Kelly both getting their chances, and as I said multiple times in previous videos, I think Rodgers has been extremely remiss in not bringing in the many talented young B team under 18 players, Rocco Vata being one very obvious example, a player who should have had far much more game time up to this point. Mitchell Frame probably next in line. Mackenzie Cart, I think, also would have done a very good job coming off the bench for Celtic on a regular basis. Nice to see Kelly. I thought Kelly did a fine job. Got himself forward, got himself involved, some nice passes. But primarily, I thought Rocco Vata showed very good instincts as a striker, got himself into the box, got himself into the 6-yard box. Very clever way that he beat the defender to get himself in front to pick up Mikey Johnston's cross and whack it in from the edge of the 6-yard box. A couple of other times got through on goal, which were nicely saved by the Buckie Thistle goalkeeper. And I think it was a very good example of why Rocco Vata should have been in and around the squad all season. It now appears that Brendan Rodgers has worked out that Rocco Vata is a very good player and that we should be signing him on an extended contract rather than letting him disappear off to one of the top teams in Italy. However, I think probably the horse is bolted, and we've lost any chance of getting Rocco Vata. Multiple stories online have indicated that Rodgers, almost as soon as he came to the club, banished all the B team players and under 18 players such as Vata, Mackenzie Cars, Summers, McPherson, etc., back to training only with their B team colleagues, and took them out of the first team squad. There is some confusion, but many sources coming out of Celtic have said that Rocco Vata wasn't offered a contract on the insistence of Brendan Rodgers, that Rodgers didn't rate him, didn't want to extend his contract, didn't want to keep him involved at Celtic in the longer term. As always, what one story says, another story says the opposite. Rodgers now apparently has decided that Rocco Vata should be kept at the club, just when he's almost on his way out to Bologna, Sampdoria or Como. And so we'll see what we can see. I would hope that Celtic do keep Vata, give him a nice 3-year contract, take him into his early 20s and get him involved more and more in the first team. I think he shows a lot of good striker's instincts, good over a short distance, two-footed. From his time in the UEFA Youth League this season, also able in the air, able to hold off challenges, bring other people into the play, and so let's hope that Rocco Vata sees sense, signs for Celtic, and that we can get him involved more and more. Otherwise, I think all the other players had a fine job. Joe Hart had a really good save, but otherwise had nothing to do. One player I think who was kind of caught out was Liam Scales. I thought he looked rather slow, uncertain, undecided. He looked rather shaky. He got beaten several times to the ball, manhandled off the ball. There was an argument that he could have easily have given away a penalty when he pulled Josh Peters back by the shirt. The referee deciding it was just a bit of argy-bargy in 50-50. And I thought it was actually interesting that Nawrocki also looked a bit uncertain in the defensive sense, and certainly Nawrocki and Scales didn't form a good partnership at all. And I do wonder whether Liam Scales' relative lack of pace and some uncertainty regarding positioning has previously been covered up by partnership with Lagerbielke at the start of their time together, and more recently by Cameron Carter-Vickers quietly covering back and protecting him. I don't know. Just yesterday's game, he looked rather slow, indecisive, uncertain, which may be just the early phases of working out a partnership with Nawrocki. Could have been to do with the wind and the rain and the pitch conditions, but it's the first time I've really felt that Scales looked less capable than he has in other games, apart from the disaster when he and Nat Phillips were in the middle against Kilmarnock in the second half, when Phillips was absolutely abysmal and Scales often was being caught out by people driving between him and Greg Taylor, or driving between him and Nat Phillips. Moving forward in terms of the next game will be against St Mirren away. Not sure whether our South Korean midfielder Kwon, who has been loaned to St Mirren for the rest of the season, will be able to play in that game. It wasn't very clear from the loan deal whether Kwon would be excluded from games against Celtic. That is usually the case. You don't play a parent club. And it would appear that Kwon got good marks for his performance on debut for St Mirren in the Cup game the day before. And obviously, an away game at St Mirren is often a wee bit of a challenge, but I'm sure Celtic will come through that game in a couple of weeks' time. Moving on to transfer rumours, nothing really breaking in terms of players coming into the club or going out of the club. One deal that is definitely off for the January window would be any thoughts of getting Owen Beck from Liverpool, either on a loan or permanent transfer. Came on as a late sub for Liverpool against Bournemouth, which means he can only play for Liverpool or Dundee for the rest of the season, as under FIFA rules you can't play for more than two clubs in one season. I still think Beck would be a very good signing for Celtic in the summer, and I think by the summertime Beck might well have dropped down to third, fourth, fifth in line at left back with Liverpool, given the fact he's going to have to beat out Robertson and Tsimikas, and there are always strong rumours that Liverpool's looking to bring in another left back to supplement Tsimikas as backup to Robertson. There are talks that Cameron Carter-Vickers is actively in negotiations regarding a new extended contract. There are similarly negotiations with Liam Scales that are more certain. Several sources coming out of Celtic say that Carter-Vickers, his agent, and Celtic are in discussion. Brendan Rodgers yesterday said, "Oh no, that's not happening, and if it was, I would know about it." I don't know whether he's trying to be clever, inverted commas, and put potential transfer suitors off the scent. I don't know. Several sources say that Carter-Vickers is looking to get an extended, improved contract at Celtic, and I think if we could keep Carter-Vickers another couple of years, that would be ideal for him and the development of Celtic. So no confirmation of any other loans in and out, no movement on whether Lagerbielke will be going or not going on loan to any of the three Italian clubs interested in him. Nothing on Burnaby, Siegrist, McCarthy, Kobayashi leaving the club. I fully expect that Mikey Johnston will be staying with Celtic for a few more years. I think he is a player who can come off the bench and do a job for us. He does actually also fulfil, obviously, the homegrown, home-trained quota for UEFA squad lists, which is always useful. No mention of David Turnbull signing a contract or leaving us in this transfer window. And finally, no movement on any new left backs coming in, other than, as I said earlier, the Beck deal is off at least until the summer at the earliest, and no movement on any of the potential strikers coming in to supplement Owen and Kyogo and Vata. Interestingly, Lawrence Shankland of Hearts didn't play at the weekend in the Cup against Spartans. Whether that's of any significance, I don't know. It does appear that Shankland has refused the upgraded contract from Hearts just recently. It's thought that Rangers are his preferred club due to his lifelong support of that club. However, I don't think that should preclude Celtic giving him an offer, and I think he actually would be far, far better at Celtic for a great variety of reasons rather than playing at Rangers. Nothing on Sidney van Hooijdonk, nothing on Tommy Conway, and no other definite deals coming in and out. But as I said, things change so quickly at this time of year. We've got 9-10 days to the end of the transfer window, and we've only actually got one more game, which is against Ross County at the weekend, before the transfer window shuts after that. Just two other wee things to mention. Remember, there's always a daily trivia question in community section. Recently, they've all been linked to our Cup winning run in 2016-2017 in Brendan Rodgers' first season, and there's also a little poll in the community section of who we should play at on the right side of the front three at the weekend against Ross County, with the three proposals being Nicholas Kuhn, Lila Bada or Mikey Johnson, and so it would be great if you could pop your thoughts in there as to which of those three players we should start on Saturday against Ross County on the right, and I'll update that at the end of the week once there's been enough of you having voted. As always, for any new viewers to the channel, please do consider clicking that subscribe button. There's also the like button and the comment section, and as always, delighted to read any kind of comments as long as they're polite and constructive and informative, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can by replying in the comment section or in subsequent videos. So that finishes things off for today. Chat again tomorrow with any updates on the news and looking a wee bit further forward to the weekend game against Ross County, and also keeping you up to date with any other players that Celtic are looking at or maybe looking at to fill those gaps in our team and squad. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, goodbye, and hail, hail.